Okay, well, good afternoon and welcome to GoatCloud Hangout number 24. At least I think it's number 24. It's been a while, truthfully, since we did number 23, so sometimes you lose count after a while. But GoatCloud Communications, my name is Cliff Rohde, and I'm the principal of GoatCloud Communications. We are a small, humble online marketing firm based in upstate New York, and we host these hangouts to provide tips and tutorials and things like that to people who are struggling with or interested in approaching different avenues of being online to have a successful online presence. And not so infrequently, we're lucky to have guests who come on and talk about their experiences going online. And that is definitely the case today, where we have Tiffany Dawn coming coming on with us to share what she's done online to promote her brand and kind of deal with being online and being a success online. So we're glad you can be here. And if you do have interest in past Hangouts, you can always find those on our website, goatcloud.com. And let's get into the meat of it. So, Tiffany Dawn, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm well. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. Well, let me give a little bit of an introduction of you. And by the way, I should say, if anybody has a question today for Tiffany or for me, probably the best way to do it is to either raise your hand, or I think you can do that with the Zoom controls, or if you can chat, that works too. So whatever way works best, we'll make sure to answer your question. And I think you should feel free to answer questions as we go along. And so, without further ado, Tiffany Dawn has spent, I should say, past tense, right? Spent most of her life feeling like she wasn't good enough. During a 7-year struggle with disordered eating, she eventually began to learn that she was loved unconditionally, and that changed everything. Tiffany has spent the past 4 years traveling around the United States, sharing her story through speaking, 2 books, The Insatiable Quest for Beauty and Boy Crazy, and social media. When she's not escaping winter through cross-country tours, I'm appropriately jealous, by the way, Tiffany. Tiffany resides in beautiful upstate New York, I can attest to that as well, with her husband James, where she works as a freelance writer and indulges in her not-so-secret love affair with both raspberry chai and everything spy-related. And for disclosure purposes, I do want to mention that, Tiffany, it is true, right, that you and I have worked together on many projects and continue to do so.
True. Yes.
And so that's really not the exciting part, though, because we're really here today to talk about what you've done online and all the cool stuff you've done. And so why don't you tell us first, like, what you're doing and how you got here?
Yeah. So I'll kind of give you an overview of this business/ministry organization first and how it started. Like Cliff said, I struggled a lot with disordered eating and body image growing up. And when I was in college, I started kind of working through these things, and I just had the thought in my head, like, I should write a book about this and just write it as I'm working through my struggles so that I can kind of grasp the rawness and vulnerability as I'm going through it. And so I started writing my book, and then in 2007, right after I graduated college, I went on a service trip to Costa Rica. And while I was there, I was working in a home for people rescued from human trafficking. There were girls between the ages of 14 and 17. And my team leader asked me one day, would you share your story with these girls? And I remember feeling so intimidated. I was like, what can I share with these girls? Like, I mean, I was homeschooled. Like, what do I have to share? And as I thought about it and prayed about it, I decided to share my struggles with body image. And so I shared it, and I was so scared that they were going to judge me. But they were sitting on the edge of their chairs with tears in their eyes as I shared my story for the first time ever. And several pulled me aside with a translator afterwards to ask if they could share their own story and their similar struggles with me. So that was shocking to me that this happened all over the world. And so I came back from that and had some people ask, can you come share your story with our inner city teen moms, or can you come share at this youth conference? And then I started sharing about once a month for the next few years. while I worked full time. I got my master's part-time, my master's degree. And then in 2012, I released my first book that I'd been working on all those years, called The Insatiable Quest for Beauty. And I did it through self-publishing through Amazon, which is one of the technology things that I've used. It's called Create Space. It's an Amazon subsidiary. And when I was looking into that, I was kind of torn. Do I self-publish? Do I go with a publisher? And I basically just talked with a lot of people, which is my trademark in life. I just like to ask a lot of people's opinions who've done it. And one of my friends kind of sums it up for me. He published 7 books through one of the largest Christian publishers. And he said, I'm trying to get out of all my contracts with them and do everything through Amazon Create Space, because as long as you have a platform to promote yourself, you're good and you'll make more money that way and be able to sustain your ministry or your business longer term. Whereas with this publisher, I think, I don't remember the split, but it's almost like a reverse split for how much he was keeping in royalties versus the publisher, and it like reversed it with Amazon. So after talking with him and a bunch of other people, I decided to just go this Create Space route. And then I needed a way to promote my book. And so my dad suggested at that point, I released my book in 2012, and my dad said, so why don't you just quit your job and try traveling and speaking full time and just see what happens? And it was
this was 5 years ago.
idea.
So before you got to that book, you were talking about the sharing you were doing. Was that was just principally in person? Like
yes. Oh yeah. Good question. Yeah. I would go to events. So sometimes I'd fly to them, sometimes I'd drive to them, but yeah, it was all in person, speaking for an audience kind of thing.
Okay. So there was an internet back then. I remember.
It's true. And as I started doing more of that, because during those like 2008 to 2012, I probably would speak about once a month. And then I'd sometimes have people ask me to come and speak more, but I couldn't get the time off of work. And as I started doing that, I started collecting referrals and testimonials from people who'd heard me, and collecting a list of places I'd spoken, and starting to collect a few videos too, and started building a website for myself. I worked with a friend who was a web designer, and at first she, did it all for me, but I didn't have a lot of control over it, and I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I really wanted to be able to kind of go back in, change stuff up, and do that continually. And so I ended up getting my own website and through Bandzoogle, which is like for musicians. And so I started doing stuff through them, and that way I could kind of put my own stuff together, update it any point I wanted to, which I did quite often, and then keep updating my lists. And then I could send that site out to people who were interested in having me, or sometimes I'd reach out to places that I really wanted to speak and be like, hey, here's what I do. Here's my website, check it out. And that helped me get more speaking engagements too.
Sure. So this is the period we're talking about between 2008, 2012?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was really the extent of how I was involved online at that time. I don't think I had an Instagram. I didn't have a Facebook page. I didn't have Pinterest or Google Plus or anything like that. It was all just my website and email. So I really hadn't gotten into any of those online platforms at that point.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So bring us up to 2012 when you published the book.
So I released that book. And
now wait, which one was that you released first?
Yeah, The Insatiable Quest for Beauty, which was the main message I was giving at different places. About my struggles with body image and disordered eating. So my dad's like, so why don't you just quit your job, try traveling and speaking? And it was a crazy idea because I had an amazing job at this college with great benefits. And I was like, well, I guess what do I have to lose? Like, I'm single. I don't know. I can just come back and get another job if I hate this. And so I ended up reaching out to some different friends and family around the country and saying, hey, can I come stay with you for a few weeks at a time and stay with you and kind of canvas your area. So meet with different people who work with teens nearby you, speak wherever I can. So at that point I started just getting on Google and searching. I knew I wanted to speak at churches, youth groups, high schools, colleges, and treatment centers. And those were the kinds of places I had spoken at previously. So I'd go on Google for whatever area I was going to be in and just look up like churches in this city or high schools in this city. And then I'd just find the right contact person and email them and be like, here's what I do. I'm going to be in your area. I'd love to meet with you or speak with the people, with your, students or whatever. While I'm there, here's the days I'm going to be there. Here's my website. You can check it out.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
During that period of time, so how much lead time did you have for your trips? Like
Not much at that point. It was,
Really?
it was like so fast because I decided to quit my job. And then I think it was like 8 weeks later, I left to do this. And so I was like a crazy person just sending these emails out for those 8 weeks. So it was very last minute. So it was a lot of like smaller places that were able to, and then some bigger places were like, yeah, let's set up a meeting. I gave them a copy of my book when I'd meet with them, but they couldn't bring me in because it was just too last minute. But yeah, so it's very, very short notice.
Okay.
But the response was so incredibly positive, I couldn't believe it. And my mom would be like, why are these people saying yes to you? They don't even know you. And I was like, I have no idea. But it was awesome. And again, each time I'd go, I'd speak, and then I'd send a follow-up email asking for feedback. And eventually, not at this point, but a couple of years later, I changed it to be a MailChimp, a Google survey. And I would send them the link. That way they could give like things they liked, what they didn't like. And then I'd have this space where it was like, would you be interested in leaving a recommendation for her website? And basically everybody would fill that out and leave a recommendation, and I'd add it to my website. So I just would constantly collect those recommendations and update them on my website. And so that first, but yeah.
So these are recommendations from the people you were organizing it with, not necessarily people who were participating or attending.
They attended too, yeah. It was the people who would organize it would also be there. So it'd be like the principal of this school or the chaplain or like stuff like that. So it like looked really good to have the recommendation, but they also had heard it. So yeah.
Now, let me ask you with that. So, I mean, getting online reviews is certainly something that is recommended for people. Did you during that time, was it more about collecting? You're saying you were using Google Forms, which I've used too. It's a great free service, right, to collect data from people. But when you collect it that way, then that's something you can use on your own website. Were you encouraging people at all to leave positive reviews elsewhere? Or you said before you didn't have yet a Facebook page or Google Plus page. Was there an opportunity to leave reviews on third-party websites or not?
That's a great question. Yeah, no, at this point, I still did not have any of that.
Okay, that's okay.
I'm a latecomer to the social media stuff, and I wish I'd started earlier, but yeah, no, I hadn't. And that's something that I'm really only just starting to think of even now. But yeah, my main place has been my website. I kind of considered it like my portfolio in a sense, or my press kit. So there's a page on my website that's for booking, and that has some recommendations and links to the whole page, some places I've spoken, and then links to a whole page of them. And it has videos. It's kind of like a one-stop shop where they can just see everything they need to know before deciding to book me. So my focus has really been there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great question.
So you're building up this, stable of people who really liked what you did. You're posting this stuff on your website. This is now probably after 2012, certainly 2013, 2014, getting to there. So
yeah, so
bring us all further along.
Yeah. So that was that became financially viable and worked well enough, good enough response that I ended up doing that for about 4 years. And I'd book further ahead, and I got on Instagram at that point to kind of take pictures of my travels. I started up a YouTube channel. I didn't really do much with it, but I had it, and every once in a while I'd post like a travel vlog, more for friends and family back home to see what I'd been doing, where I was. And then I started a Twitter page too around that time. But again, didn't really do much with them. Every once in a while I'd get inspired and would like just schedule a whole bunch of posts. Like I loved Hootsuite, and you introduced me to Buffer too. And I just use those platforms to just schedule these like social posts out like a month or 2 months in advance. So I didn't have to think about it, which certainly works. But, and some of the posts were really good still, but I think I missed a lot of the point of those platforms by just trying to just do it to do it instead of really diving into their purpose and how I could best use them. So I'll get to that more in a
When you
minute.
say, I'm sorry, go ahead. What did you just say?
Oh, I was going to say, and I'll talk about that more in a minute, unless
Yeah,
you want
good.
to talk
Okay.
about it now, which we certainly can. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Yeah. So then last year I was getting really tired from traveling so much, and I really thought about it and decided to start a YouTube channel as my new way to reach out to teens and college age girls, because that's really where they're at anyway. It's 5 minutes in their bed. They don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to go anywhere. And you can kind of reach people who are in different places than you might at a speaking event, like in other countries or whatever. And so I was like, this could be great. This could be eventually built up to a point where it could be my way of getting speaking gigs, and I could just go to a few a year and then really every single week reach out to girls on YouTube. So last year I started looking into social media more, and it's something I should have started while I was touring, but I didn't. And so I started really looking into like, how do I do this? So first with YouTube, I started doing weekly videos, because they say on YouTube, your first 100 followers is the hardest to get, then 500, but the more you get, the more it starts snowballing, and you slowly get past that hump, and it builds on its own and faster. And so mine is still very small. I just got past the 500 mark a few days ago.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I
I'm
know
so
you were
excited.
looking to do that. Good.
Yeah. So I feel like for about a year of doing it, that's pretty good. And the way to do that is really posting consistently. You want quality content, and you want your viewers to know when it's coming. And so I started Tuesday Girl Talk. And every Tuesday I post another video, and I try to make them really good things girls are interested in and want to talk about, and stuff they might not have thought about before. So it's not like cliche or stuff that's overdone. But one of the things I started discovering recently was that I was watching this video there's this channel called Video Creators that's for people who do YouTube. And I find that the channels like that are so helpful to know like what to do to grow your audience. Because if you're just kind of doing it to do it, I think a lot of times it's easy to think, oh, I'm going to make good stuff, people will just find it, but it doesn't really work that way. And so finding these channels helps a lot. And this video I was watching said you want to have two kinds of videos. You want to have one that's good quality content for your regular viewers, and then you want to have one kind of video that kind of latches onto the trends on YouTube and to the popular videos, so that it'll come up more easily in search results. And that's to get more viewers. And so
Give us an example, if you would.
An example, you said?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, definitely. So for example, one of the things that a lot of people are doing right now are challenges. So there's like certain challenges, like the Starbucks secret menu challenge, that a lot of YouTubers are doing and just putting their own spin on it. So that's like a big trending thing right now. Or morning routine videos. Apparently people like to sit and watch people get up in the morning and tell them what kind of toothpaste they use, what kind of shampoo. My husband is like, do people seriously watch this? But they're like practical girls. It's crazy. And so these have like millions of views. Obviously mine would not have millions because it's a smaller channel, but this is like a very popular thing that everyone's doing. And so, but it's like, okay, so I want to take that and do that, but put my own spin on it too. So one of the things that I'm planning for this month is doing a James is my husband. So a James narrates my life morning routine video. So I'm gonna do the morning routine, but he's gonna narrate it in a really funny way with his voiceover. So it's like a twist and it's a little different, but latching onto that trend. So those are just a couple examples, but there's a ton of like really popular videos. Another way is doing like 5 easy healthy dinners. So that's one I'm posting in April that I've already filmed with a dietitian. And it's just something that like people would search for. And so, yeah, so you want those two kinds of videos. So actually this upcoming week, I'm launching a new day, which is Fitness Fridays. It's gonna be Fitness and Fun Fridays. So twice a month we'll do a fitness video, twice a month we'll do a fun like morning routine video. And those will be my videos to get new subscribers to my channel, to find my channel. And then Tuesdays will continue being that content for my regular viewers.
Okay, so when you've identified very clearly your niche viewer, who you want to target. Now, I'm just thinking of YouTube, right? And there are certainly opportunities there as well to try to monetize YouTube, not just in terms of getting additional speaking engagements, like I'm sure you're trying to do, but with advertising. Are you making use of advertising on your on your videos?
Not yet. There's this market that you can actually go onto, but you have to have 2,500 subscribers, or maybe it's 2,000, but it's more than I have right now. Once I get to that number, I'm going to join it though. And it's really cool because basically you will, you just go on and look for the kinds of ads people are looking for on YouTube videos. And then you pitch them an idea like, hey, I do a video about this. Here's how your product would fit in. And then they'll pay you. And it's like, I want to say it's like between $50 and $200 for a thing. So it's not like a huge amount of money, but it's good, like especially if you do videos every week and if you can work them in regularly. And you want to work them in a way that's like natural, so it doesn't feel like your audience is suddenly watching this like promo video for another company, but is natural and does the job for the company too. So yeah, that's something that I hope to do once my audience grows large enough.
So that's, if I'm understanding this, so that's a product placement kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can also get different sponsorships, which is something I don't know much about yet. I know for like my tours, like my speaking tours, I had like a college that would sponsor me and pay for like high schools to have me come in. But I know there's also sponsorships with YouTube, but that's not something I know a lot about right now. And then there's also ads at the beginning of videos. So that's something that you can always sign up for. So I have those on my videos, and it's just that little like clip that you can click out of after 5 seconds that plays at the beginning of a lot of YouTube videos. And then once you get to, I think it's like $100, Google will send you a check. So I think I'm at like $15 right now. So I feel very rich. But
I think I also have some videos up and on my channel and have ads running, and I've never gotten a check from Google yet. It's been a few years. What about though? Do you have any control over which ads appear on your videos? Are you concerned about that?
That's such a good question. There was one video that I did about sexting, and that I was concerned because the videos that showed up next to mine, like the recommended videos, were like really raunchy, and I didn't realize they would be. Like mine was like about why sexting isn't always a great idea. And so I'm like, oh my. So that was interesting. So I ended up taking that video down for a little bit while I tried to figure out like some of my tags that I had used, changing those so that I could still get it to my audience, but not get those same videos recommended. So that I've experienced. I haven't experienced ads that are inappropriate. I know like Google is really good with their ads, like with kind of figuring out the kind of audience you have and the kind of videos you have. And they also do like, if you have a video that they deem, I don't know how they even figure it out. It's like through your tags or whatever and titles, I guess. But if they have a video that they deem too hot topic or too political or too whatever that advertisers wouldn't want to be associated with, then they just won't let you put an ad on it. And they can tell that immediately, which is kind of amazing. So yeah.
One of the things that Google does, and you may know this, is they automatically transcribe every video that goes up onto YouTube. And you actually, as a video creator, have the opportunity to go back and take a look at that transcription and make sure that it's accurate and corrected if necessary. And so, that is all helping Google to understand what that content is. In my case, I find that I get competitors' ads on my videos.
Interesting. Wow, yeah.
So, and that's, it's not entirely desirable.
Yeah, I would say not.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly how I can get rid of that other than to, not monetize those videos themselves. So we've talked a lot about YouTube, of course.
Yeah.
Do you find, is that like the primary focus kind of where you are online right now, would you say?
The primary, yes. But I'm also building other areas too. So I started building a social media team actually for this year. So,
what does that mean?
So I have 7 girls who are working with me to help me with all my different social media. So they're just volunteering their time. They're people who are passionate about these topics, want to reach other girls. And So they're helping me with my blog, with my Facebook, and my Twitter. And they're helping me. One of the girls is kind of like my social media coordinator, is what I'm kind of loosely referring to her as, because she works with me to come up with like our themes for the month and brainstorm ideas for the blog articles. And so she helped me come up with a weekly schedule too for my Facebook page, which is Monday devotions, Tuesday girl talk, real beauty Wednesday, Thursday stories, Friday fitness Friday. And so every week we kind of follow that, but a different girl writes the post. And so it kind of like takes a lot of the pressure off of me, because you can't do everything well as one person. And so this helps a lot. And so, yeah, so I'm on Facebook with those ways. Facebook is probably, I feel like, my weakest link in a sense. Like I'm hoping that this will help a lot, because it's not a strong point for me. It's not something I've ever posted to regularly. It's not something I really know what to do with. So I have a lot of learning left to do with that.
Well, it's a fair question to ask, to what extent young girls are on Facebook,
that's
right?
so true. Yeah. And one of the primary places they're on is Instagram. So that's a big thing for me. So I'm trying to post 3 or 4 times a week. Again, I've kind of let it slide, but trying to just do 3 or 4 times a week. And I'm trying to kind of change the way
I'm sorry, on Instagram you're talking now.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so I've been finding like it's really important to be true to your audience, but also true to yourself. So like finding where they are and what they're looking for, but also being fully like who you are. And so with Instagram, I'm trying to post stuff that's really vulnerable and honest. And really, I find that what people are looking for on Instagram is a really amazing picture that's not like stock from somewhere else, but is like your own, is personal to you. And then the person who's on Instagram, some people do big posts, some people do short posts. And for a long time when I posted, it would be very like canned. Like it would be just not very honest, just like what I thought people wanted to hear. And I didn't get a good response. So now I'm trying to just be very honest. I found some Instagram people who are doing the kind of posts that I want to do. So I follow them so I can keep getting inspiration. And I'm trying to just do that myself. And the response has been so much larger and more positive. I've also started using the hashtags on there, because on a lot of platforms, hashtags don't really do anything or just look weird. But on Instagram, you can kind of put little symbols to kind of put space between your caption and the hashtags, and then put them on. And it actually does help you get more followers. So I started doing that too. So yeah, girls are also really on Snapchat, but that's, again, being true to myself. I tried it. I hate Snapchat, and I just don't have creative things to post all day long every day, and I forget it's there. So I stopped doing Snapchat. I was like, this just isn't for me.
You might be showing your age, Tiffany.
I know, it's true. I just can't do it. But, yeah.
Well, they have Snapchat like Instagram, right? I can't remember who came out with the idea first. I think, although it might have been Snap, that was the whole idea of stories, right? And posting them, and they're there.
Yeah.
Time. Do you make use of that on Instagram at all, the stories function?
I haven't. Partly because it's so similar to Snapchat. Like it has to be pictures taken within the last 24 hours. And I just don't do that often enough to really be involved with it. So it's something I might try to do at some point, or like if like we're going to Europe in May. So during that time, I'll have tons of photos within 24 hours. So like for those, yeah, I can certainly do a story. And you could always screenshot a photo so that it shows up as within 24 hours. So like there's ways to get around it, but it's not something I have used yet.
Sure. So, a lot of businesses that I work with have and even if they're solo flyers like yourself, it's a bit of a conundrum for them dealing with all this social media, online presence and stuff. And kind of a bottom line question they have is it worth it? Really? Is there a return on investment? Is the time I spend on this going to be of value? So what do you have to say about that?
I think a lot of it depends on your business and your audience
and
knowing them. And I think if you try to do every kind of social media well, like unless if you're Google, probably is not worth your time, and in my opinion. But I think if you find the ones that your audience is really there and really put your time into like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 platforms and know the difference between the platforms, So like Facebook is like,
Yes, I was going to ask you, tell us a little bit about that, what you mean by the difference between the platforms.
yeah, I think sometimes people, and I know I've done this, they post one thing to all their platforms and not changing any of the wording to make it slightly different for each one, but just like the same thing. And that's like an easier way to do it, but it's not as effective. So like Facebook is really about, from my experience, stuff that people want to be a part of. Like they want to feel like they're a part of your life. They want to share it with their mom or their grandpa, like, or their friend, like something that's very like things that are very personal, or like celebrating highlights of life or stuff like that really get much better responses. So it's kind of like a way to bring people into your family or your friend group, in a sense, like bring people into your business as if it's part of their friend group on Facebook.
Yeah.
Instagram, I find, is much more about like I said, the picture. And then Twitter is more about like quick, like just quick, short updates. That's one that I don't use a lot. I've used it some for like little like inspirational, quick, one sentence things that I'll put together. And yeah, people engage with that, but it's not something that I feel like my audience is very present in to some extent, but it depends on the person. Definitely more so on Instagram and YouTube.
Right.
And then LinkedIn, I really don't do much with at all, but that's much more like business. Like, so yeah. So I guess like they're all different in the way they reach people. And if we try to do them all the same, it's not going to be super effective.
What about social platforms like Facebook and Google Plus and LinkedIn? I know you're saying you don't use LinkedIn so much, but they have online groups or communities, depending on what you might want to call them. Do you ever make use of those?
Yeah, that's something I've thought about if I want to do a Facebook group. It's not something I've done at this point. And some businesses will choose the group over the page. And there's like pluses and minuses to both ways of going. Like the Facebook page, you can see just by Googling it. So it's almost like a business landing page, it can be. And so anybody can see it, anybody can view it. But I feel like a lot of times there's a little bit less engagement than in a group. Whereas on a group, my understanding is it's more private. Like people can't search for that on Google and have it just come up. And to invite people to it, you have to actually like invite your friends. And they invite their friends and that sort of thing, but they tend to have more engagement. So I guess I haven't decided yet which one's better for me. Like I said, Facebook is a big weak point for me, and it's not something I've put a lot of time into that I'm starting to try to now. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I found with a lot of groups, whether it's Facebook or Google, and actually even LinkedIn for that matter, there are public ones to be sure, and where the ability to join is pretty easy. You basically just ask to join and you're a member. But I found that the sharing about a particular topic is really helpful, actually, and is not, it's been a place for me to really learn a lot, and kind of share war stories and pick up tips and things of that nature. So I've liked it in the sense that while it's still part of the platform overall, you've kind of narrowed down the window or the audience to a very particular group of people who are like-minded for one reason or another.
Yeah, that's definitely a positive right there.
Yeah. What about, Tiffany, have you made use of any online advertising yourself, advertised what you do?
I have some on Facebook. I've done that a little bit. So I'll like share some of my, like on my Facebook page, I'll share a link to my videos each Tuesday. And so certain ones that I really love, I'll do a promotion, a Facebook promotion. And that has certainly gotten me more YouTube subscribers. When I do that, I notice it's not like a ton more, but it is, fairly significant for a small channel like mine. So I've done that. I'm trying to think if I've used Facebook promotions to promote events that I'm doing. Like I did a local event that was like a live audience kind of thing to film a new seminar that I had. And so I used Facebook promotions for that. It's hard to say if that, I'm not sure how much of a difference it made, because a lot of the people who came, I think they already knew about it. But there were certainly some people there who didn't. So that one, I'm not sure what the difference was. It's hard to tell.
Right.
But yeah, so those are the two ways that I've used that. One thing I'm wanting to do is actually have some of my videos on YouTube advertising. So you can actually set one of your videos to be an ad on YouTube.
Yes.
So
Right.
that's one thing that I want to do.
Although, right there, there's special formats, aren't there, for YouTube ads? Or you want, or maybe some of your regular YouTube videos just sort of fit that format as a consequence of them being made. I mean, my sense is that you need to be careful with that, because my sense is that most often when we create a video that we want to put on YouTube, that's a good thing. But is it necessarily thought of initially as an ad? You know, we're talking before about that difference in platforms, and you need to, kind of think, well, which platform am I going to be talking to here, and what is the kind of messaging? And it's I think it just, one has to be a little bit aware that there can be subtle messaging differences if it's an ad versus something more expository,
Yeah.
more in the nature of kind of the bread and butter. What about, Tiffany, you've talked kind of how you got to where you are and what you've been doing recently. What do you see, from being online, social media? What are you going to be doing over the next year or two? Where are you going to be focusing your efforts, do you think?
Definitely still YouTube, and trying to build up this with my social media team, build up these other areas too of my blog, Facebook, Instagram, mainly. And that's for the sake, YouTube is still going to be my main focus for sure, like no competition. But building up these other areas helps me keep people engaged on a daily basis. So then it's like I have encouragement for you girls every single day of the week, and you can check them out at these places. You can be like on my Facebook, encouragement every day of the week. On my blog, you get to hear stories from other girls who are going through similar things that can be really inspiring for you. On my Instagram, you get to be like a part of my life and everyday life, the things I'm struggling with and working through. So it's just a ways to build a community more, because that's so much what people crave, is that sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always trying to find ways to do that better. And it's not something I'm very good at, but even like in my YouTube comments, I love when I see girls liking each other's comments on my videos. And I always try to make sure I respond to everybody's comment. And just little ways to I'm always looking for little ways to build that sense of community. That's also, I think, part of what keeps people, quote unquote, loyal to your brand or to your message.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned blogging. How often do you blog?
Now that I have this team, about 2 or 3 times a week. Before
Yeah.
that, it was like maybe once or twice a month. So this is going to be really good for my blog.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
does the blog go up on your website, or do you have a separate like Tumblr account or something? Or?
I use WordPress for my blog, although there is a link on my website directly to my blog. So it's like under contact, you can go to the blog and it'll take you right there. And
Why
then
have you decided to separate the two?
because of the site I use, Bandzoogle, it's something I'm debating whether to stick with or not, because
Mm-hmm.
while it gave me a lot more freedom and control than the last site settings did, I still feel like I don't have as much as I want to, and I don't like how their blog format looks. It's just not very visually
Right.
appealing. So WordPress looks so much better. So that's why I've gone with that instead.
Yeah, there are kind of mixed feelings out there about whether it makes sense to keep a blog on your website or have a separate place where you have a blog and you're kind of sending traffic back and forth. More or less, I have always been of the mind that your website and your blog ought to be at the same place, as that building that traffic to your website, building up content on your website inevitably is a good thing. But you have sort of have um, a different kind of MO, in the sense that there's a community that you are attempting to reach and build, even where having that other kind of place can make some sense too. So I don't know which way I'd go if I were you, to have your blog all in one place or keep it in a separate place. Have you ever looked at Tumblr or given that a thought?
I have some friends who've done it. I really haven't thought much about it, I guess. No.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
Well, it has a reputation also. Well, initially it had somewhat of a reputation as being a place where there's some, really kind of sketchy stuff that people were posting. I think, a couple of years ago, if I remember this right, it was bought by Yahoo and they tried to clean it up. But I do believe that it is so less of a wild, wild west sort of place and more of a place where like younger people go for, kind of blogging style activities. There are more traditional blogs, but aimed at a younger demographic.
Gotcha.
And so, and then also, just in terms of getting thought pieces out there, Medium might be a place to look at. I don't know. That's generally thought of as a place where you put out longer pieces. Kind of, blogs tend to have a reputation of being relatively short, fixed on a very particular topic. And Medium is more of a free form place for more, maybe more thoughtful, just a place where you would tease out a longer piece. What about repurposing? So here's what I mean by that, right? You have all these different avenues, platforms that you're using. Do you repurpose? You were talking before about, the danger of kind of sending out the same content,
right,
same way to different platforms. But do you get out kind of the same content in different forms in different places, the whole repurposing?
Yeah, depending on the content and the platform. So my Real Beauty Wednesdays is all about celebrating real beauty and kind of featuring a different woman each week to say, this is what's so beautiful about her. And it's not just the surface, it's who she is. So that is one that we've just started that fits really well with really almost all my platforms. So it's not like I'm going to do every week on YouTube a Real Beauty Wednesday video. That's not happening. Although every once in a while, I'll probably do a video that showcases some of the ladies all together. But that works well for Facebook. That works well for Instagram. That can work for Twitter. Although you can't really share in detail on Twitter what you love about that lady, but you could link back to the blog or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one that I would do. Monday Devos, that's on my Facebook. And we're going to do like a short Twitter version of those two, but that's not something that I feel fits well on my Instagram. So that's not going to go on there. And then my videos that I do, I link to those on my Facebook and my Twitter and my blog. But I don't link to those usually on my Instagram unless if it's one I'm really excited about, because I don't want it to come off like my Instagram is like a emotional thing. But I've also seen YouTubers who are really huge who put a shot of them as they're filming their video, and then within the caption they're like, hey, check out this video at the link in my bio. And that's a great idea. So that's something I might start doing eventually.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, I guess it depends on the post and if it fits what I want to get out of each of the platforms. So I'll kind of decide which platforms I want to put each post on and then write it for that platform, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure it does. So when I talk to people, I often say or describe sort of online marketing as within a Venn diagram of, and you must remember Venn diagrams from 8th grade, right? So
those are the overlapping ones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a long time.
So online marketing is a piece of your overall marketing budget or time or whatever it is. It can be as little or as small as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Although I think increasingly it is a bigger part of the picture for people. But so what, in terms of what you're doing, remember when you started talking with us today, you were talking about how there was really like your first efforts were shoe leather, right? You were getting on the phone. I mean, granted, email is using something online, but you're reaching out to people directly and trying to get placed. What percentage now is online for you versus kind of offline in terms of promoting what you do?
Yeah. And that reminds me real quick before I forget, one of the other things I'm doing with online, particularly YouTube, is collaboration, like collab videos, they call it. So that way you get together with another YouTuber who you love their content and you both film a video and then you edit your pieces together and you both post it on your sites, and it helps you get their audience aware of you and some of them following you and vice versa. So that's something else you can do with that. And with blogging, that's something else with my social media team. Some of them have blogs. So we like link back to each other's blogs, just another way to like share audiences. So that was a brief aside. But yeah, as far as the percentage, I'm speaking a lot less now than I was. Like when I was on tour, a lot of it was like boots on the ground. Like I'm going to a new place. I hired a booking coordinator in 2014, and she would do all that legwork of, hey, here's Tiffany, this is what she does, letting her know. Or after I'd speak somewhere, hey, do you have anyone you want to recommend her to? And setting up those tours. So during that time, I'd be on the road like 7 months a year. So now I'm home, and I'm probably speaking a dozen times this year. But all the events I've booked this year have come from either word of mouth or my YouTube videos. So actually in the fall, I was down in Florida to speak at a women's conference, and like a week ahead of time, this lady emailed me and she's like, this is crazy and last minute, but I was looking for colleges for my daughter and I ran across one of your videos on the Chapel website. And then I went to your YouTube channel and I watched a bunch of your videos, and we really want you to come speak at our school. And I see you're in Florida. Can you come last minute this week? We'll like cancel our Chapel speaker and bring you in. So it worked out to do it, and it was really cool. So yeah, so I'm hoping that stuff like that happens more often. And certainly like my book sales have been going out to more diverse places. Like I've gotten emails from girls in Australia and UK and Jamaica and somewhere else in Europe somewhere who've been watching my videos. One girl wrote me and was like, hey, I'm from this little country. You've probably never heard of it. It's called the Bahamas. And I'm like, everyone's heard of your country.
Right.
But that's like people I would never have reached by speaking just around here in the US. So, and like, so they're ordering my books. Some of them I've written to say, I got your books. I love them. I would love to hear you speak sometime. So like, I'm hoping that eventually as I build a larger following, that it can reach more events and in other parts of the world too.
Sure. Did you ever realize you were going to be a multimedia star?
I don't think it's there, but someday, hopefully. I should say I know it's not there. Someday I'm hoping it will be, but we'll see.
Well, I have to say, Tiffany, I have learned so much today from you. This has been totally awesome, and I really appreciate it. If I wanted to find you online, you mentioned that you have all these places online. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us where those are?
Yeah.
Concretely, where can we find you?
Yeah. So my main website is Tiffany Dawn. That's DAWN, like the morning. TiffanyDawn.net. Sadly, TiffanyDawn.com was taken, which is because it's such an amazing rhyme to it. So it's TiffanyDawn.net. And then my blog is TiffanyDawn.wordpress.com, and all my like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is Tiffany Dawn IQB, because again, Tiffany Dawn was taken. And IQB stands for Insatiable Quest for Beauty. So Tiffany Dawn IQB. And then on YouTube, again, if you just search for Tiffany Dawn, I'll come up. There's two of us, but I'm the one who looks like me. So I'm the one with fewer videos because the other lady's been doing it way longer. So, but yeah, so that's where you can find me.
Well, that's awesome. I certainly encourage everyone to go out there and find you because it is definitely worthwhile. And I want to remind people too that if they enjoyed what they just watched or listened to, feel free to hashtag away GoatCloud, and you can find us also. Our website is goatcloud.com, and Facebook is facebook.com/GoatCloud. Twitter, surprisingly enough, is twitter.com/GoatCloud. For some reason, Tiffany, we didn't have as much of a problem with GoatCloud. There weren't as many others out there. Google.com/+GoatCloud. So anyway, you can find GoatCloud all over the place. Yeah, if you did like it, please, by all means, share, let your friends know. Tell the world about Tiffany Dawn and GoatCloud. We'd much appreciate it. And Tiffany, again, I just want to say thank you to you.
Thank you. I learned a lot too.
Good luck with all this stuff.
Thank you.
You're busy. I'm shocked that we can work together. You're so busy. So, but anyway, and thank you for those who were calling in to listen, and have a good day. We'll see you next time around.
Sounds good. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.